We will shortly be arriving at Mitchum Eastfields.
Please mind the gap between the train and the platform.
My Thameslink train, for some reason, thought it was 12 coaches, even though you only ever get 8 carriages on the Sutton loop. Because of that, it made it seem like certain carriages wouldn't open the doors at stations, which just wasn't the case. Anyways, I start my walk today at Hackbridge station, which I have done before on a walk based around Carshalton. I started that by going to see the Hack Bridge itself over one of my favourite rivers in London, the River Wandle, which does rise in Carshalton. Its source is in Carshalton. But there is an entirely different branch of the River Wandle that splits off at Wilderness Island that heads towards Croydon, and that is what I'm going to be walking today. And I start by almost immediately heading into Beddington Park. Now, I did visit this location on my previous Hackbridge walk. I came out of that footpath that runs alongside the railway and headed up that way towards the River Wandle. But this time, just to see a little bit of a different side of the park, I'm going to go this way. Well, here we are, our first little glimpse of the River Wandle today, flowing through Beddington Park. It's not a particularly long stretch to Croydon, but before I head up alongside it, there's just something I want to go and see. This is the former Carew Manor, who would have owned the land around here. There's also a really nice church right next door. It's a shame I missed its Christmas fair. They always forget to take posters and signs down, don't they? There's even a wonderful old dovecote here, which dates from 1715. These were seen as a status symbol. If you had one of these, you were up there. The doves and pigeons that would make their home in it would become a source of feathers and food. There's a great information board here that essentially tells you the history of Carew Manor. And there's a beautiful old, I want to say, Tudor style cottage. It's magnificent. Right, let's go and find the River Wandle now. Well, I could hear it before I saw it. The magnificent River Wandle. So why do I love the River Wandle so much? Why is it my favourite river in London? Well, I love its history. It was a very heavy industrial working river with numerous mills throughout its course, some of which you can still see today, even with working water wheels, though you have to walk the Carshalton to Wandsworth stretch to see some of those. I also just love smaller rivers like this and how you can trace them through the suburbs. Right in the heart of urban London, you get to visit some rather beautiful rural locations. I love the River Wandle. We actually seem to have lost the River Wandle. It's somewhere underground through this industrial area. And we are actually nearing the end already. I guess that's evident through the fact that I'm passing by Wadden Ponds here, which suggests that there are springs in the area. I might actually go for an entire looped walk around this pond. So I have walked on over to the other side of the ponds. Look at all the birds perched on the posts. And I can spot 2 chimneys down there, which I will be heading towards once I'm done walking the River Wandle. Okay, so I've been reunited with the River Wandle in this new development. I wonder, because it was heading underground through the industrial estate, whether it was a similar situation here, and when they built these new apartments, they brought back the Wandle to the surface, a process that they call daylighting. So we've got an indication of the River Wandle here through the form of Wandle Park tram stop. There's actually an entirely different Wandle Park on the main route from Carshalton when you get to Collierswood. That still says Tramlink down there. They just call it London Trams now. And it's in this Wandle Park near Croydon where you come to the end of this branch of the River Wandle, or the beginning of it really, because this is the other source. It's not as notable as Carshalton Ponds, but I love the natural course it has flowing through this park here. If you come over from Wandle Park, you'll see this magnificent bridge for the trams to cross over the railway. This used to just be a junction, because this portion of the trams into Wimbledon was a railway line before they converted it in 2000. But seeing as the tracks just led straight into West Croydon station and the trams needed to access the streets in Croydon town centre, they had to build a bridge over the railway. It's nice to revisit Wandle Park. It's been many years since I was last here, back in 2017. That was one of my early adventures when I would ride the trams and visit a bunch of parks I've never been to along its route, such as Mordenhall Park, which the River Wandle does pass through, Mitchum Common, this one, Lloyd Park and South Norwood Country Park. And what I'm going to do now is actually walk up alongside the trams, alongside the former railway, up into the industrial parts of Croydon. Of course I could catch the tram along here, but I've always been fascinated to take this footpath that runs right alongside the tracks. That leads me to Wadden Marsh tram stop, which was a railway station back in the day. It opened later than the line in 1930 until closure in 1997 when it was converted to the trams in 2000. Wandle Park was not an old railway station. That was new for the trams. The next stop is Ampere Way, which is not an old railway station. It was known from 2006 to 2008 though as IKEA Ampere Way, as a way to promote travel to Croydon's IKEA by tram. The tram got in the way, but that is essentially what these chimneys are all about. They were sort of reluctantly kept by IKEA, and they added a little bit of yellow and blue stripes up there to help promote where they are. But they have become a local landmark. It has worked. When you see these chimneys, you know that that is where Croydon's IKEA is. Prior to the IKEA, these chimneys belonged to Croydon Power Station. There was an A and a B station. A opened in the late 1800s, B opened just after World War II, which is when these chimneys came about. There were some fantastic cooling towers here. It was a huge site, but they unfortunately were demolished in 1985. I like that in a world where it starts to feel like we're losing more and more industrial heritage. I love that these chimneys remain here. I'm not going to go in IKEA though. I feel like I'm going to get distracted if I do and end up wandering around there for ages. We're going to carry on with the walk. Okay, continuing alongside the trams, I've now made it to Therapia Lane, which also wasn't an old railway station. I'm standing behind a fence, by the way, because every stop along here has just been crawling with revenue protection team today. This has become quite an important tram stop though, because this is now where the tram depot is. I didn't mind the walk earlier right alongside the tram tracks, but that last stretch took me through a rather grim industrial estate up to Beddington Lane, which was an old station, original station actually, from 1855. We saw from earlier that Beddington is quite an important area, so it's still got a station, even if it's quite far away from it up the road, or lane should I say. Why is the tram stop so far away from the road though? Is it so they could build around the remains of the old station first or something? Am I standing on the old platform here, for example? I have no idea. It's quite a quiet stop outside of peak times. I presume most of the traffic here is from people working in the industrial estate. I mean, there is a small row of houses here. I can, though, lead directly into Mitchum Common from Beddington Lane tram stop, and I just love this site. I've done some walks across it before, including that previous walk from Hackbridge, which took me over the kind of southwestern edge of the common. This time I get to do just the whole eastern edge, and I have previously walked all the other parts across the northeast and in the centre. Whoa, okay, I guess that's what happens when we've had heavy rain. I think I can just about skirt on the edge and avoid it, which is good. I can go through here. Well, once I make it past, there's a nice hill, definitely got to climb that. And once at the top, I can see both the Crystal Palace and the Croydon transmitter towers, and of course Croydon's IKEA chimneys. It's a shame that we've just lost the sun. It's become cloudy because I think it's always been rather sunny when I've crossed over Mitchum Common before, which has definitely improved the area. The sun usually does that. I'll overlay some sunny photos I have from previous walks here, because it really is quite a beautiful rural location. I've descended the hill to a road which intersects Mitchum Common, but there used to be another one known as Watney's Road. You can still see the white stripe down the middle and some lampposts. I wonder if they still work. Watney's Road closed about 20 years ago because it was just a bit unsafe. People would kind of use it as a rat run, I saw it described as. They would just speed down here. We touch upon disused railways and canals sometime on the channel, but not so much disused roads. This is pretty cool. Oh, I think this is where I took that sunny photo before. Yeah, it's a lot more moody now. These clouds came out of nowhere. It was such a beautiful day. Oh, this pond seems to be drying up, which I guess I'm kind of surprised by, considering, as I mentioned, we've had heavy rain recently. We're from one quiet pocket of Mitchum Common to another here in Croydon Road Cemetery. I've never been in here before, and I'm rather glad to be right now because I just passed a school as soon as all the kids were coming out, which is never the greatest experience in the world. Leaving the cemetery, you might think it's still peaceful when I tell you that this area is known as Thornton Heath Pond, but the pond doesn't actually exist. I am just in the middle of a roundabout, which is pertinent because due to road expansion in the area, the pond just dried up and it was eventually covered in 1953. This is nowhere near as nice as Clapton Pond. I say that just because the 38 terminates there whilst the 64 bus terminates here. There is a bus garage behind me as well. And being here has also got me thinking of the Victoria Line, because post World War II, if we had more money, there's a possibility the line could have been extended further south than where it ends today at Brixton. Due to the trajectory of it, I would suspect it would probably go around Herne Hill and Tulse Hill to Streatham, and then head straight down this road through Norbury, Thornton Heath Pond, and probably a stop at North Croydon, because there's not one, straight into Croydon town centre. I say this because I have about a mile walk up to Thornton Heath station. I'm quite far from any railway. This main thoroughfare through London would really benefit from a railway, so not everyone's getting on the buses. But we can't extend the Victoria Line because it's already kind of running at max capacity. If we opened it up to thousands of new commuters here in South London, it just wouldn't be feasible. It would just be far too busy, which is a shame, to be honest, because I don't really want to do the mile walk up the road to the station. I could just jump on the tube here. And it isn't that interesting of a road walk either. I mean, you just got tiny little Trumbull Gardens here, which isn't that fascinating. I'm sorry to say this, but Thornton Heath might be my least favourite place in London. It's just really dull and quite grim, and it's not doing itself any favours with a huge abandoned office block opposite the station. Last time I passed through, the clock tower was also broken too. It does have, though, a beautiful mosaic roundel. Only this and Selhurst Station one stop down on the Southern network in London have these. Usually would find them up on the London Overground up in northeast London, though there is one now at Acton Central. Funnily enough though, we did come across one of these at Worthing on my first walk of the year. That wasn't here last time I used the station, after riding the 1:30 bus route so many years ago. Anyways, thank you for joining me on that walk, even if it wasn't the most interesting of areas. I still enjoyed the River Wandle and Mitchum Common. And there'll be more London walks coming soon. Right, I actually have to cross platform and I've only got a minute. I better go. It's nice to revisit Lloyd's Park. No.